Today on the podcast, we have Micah McCrary-Dennis. He was one of my cohort members when I did the Thai Oregon Entrepreneur Boot Camp. And we've definitely stayed in contact since. And I would say in my journey as I pursue augmented reality stuff, he was one of the biggest inspirations because I really didn't see the applications of it outside of Pokemon Go or anything. But working with him and connecting with him throughout my time as an entrepreneur has definitely given me some insights. He has an AR app called Mentorschip, and it's really an opportunity to help students find scholarships locally with their mobile phones and really increase access to higher education, because quite often Black people have to deal with that financial burden that not necessarily every other demographic has to deal with it at that level. And so he's really trying to take that core concept of there's money out there and there's opportunities with that money. You just got to find them. He's making it more engaging for kids, and he's really just taking his core essence of, how he got his PhD, how he got into higher education, how he got into STEM and STEAM, and he's really trying to lay a groundwork for others to follow. And so it was a great conversation, and I hope that a lot of people look more into higher education and coding and all those things, because that's the future. And so without further ado, let's listen to Micah. How's things been with you?
Everything is going pretty good so far. Mainly after this Pi demo day that just came out on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit of excitement and relief and pressure. Excitement because that facet and buildup of that accelerator program was able to feature our company, our app, in a positive way. I'm feeling anxious, I guess, because now that means the work really is about to begin, because now that publication is out there in video form, people are going to find it and people are going to click on it. People are already calling, contacting, saying, hey, this is a very novel and interesting concept and idea. I would love to collaborate more, see how it's going to help and work. I come from a similar background, so this really resonates with me, saying all those things. And like I said, just keeping me on my toes, looking forward to whatever comes next from that success, hoping to not fail much, but if I do fail fast and fail forward so that I can get myself back up and keep it moving.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what it's all about right now.
Yeah. So what was could you kind of like talk about what was like the Pi demo experience like, or, like kind of give me a little rundown of what it was about?
For sure. So the Portland Incubator Experiment, aka Pi, has graciously given us residency at the sponsored Autodesk building, Autodesk Town Storage. And what that program is designed to do is to give startups a voice. And I think it focuses on a good bit of introducing minority voices into that platform and stage where we can have our voices heard throughout the mainstream, throughout the non-mainstream, throughout the minorities, and then have that platform as a propelling point where it will help our company gain that recognition, awareness, gain the particular connections or influence that we need to have. And so the demo day is the culmination of that full event, featuring all of the startups that were ready to present in that demo phase and allowing them, again, that stage to present their voice. And so Mentorship did that successfully on last Thursday, March 19th. And what we basically started out with was telling a story about myself and how I basically chose a debt route, thinking that it was the better route just to get me through college and education. And I shied away from scholarships because scholarships seemed too hard to find, not really knowing who to find help to get them done and get them done in the right way such that they would be rewarding. And so student loans were much easier. They were like ready to approve as soon as you signed your name on the line for the most part. And so, of course, that being and seeming like an easier route, you don't really understand the magnitude of your mistakes until you're looking back at them 2020 retrospective after you've gone through 3 degrees and 12 years of school. And you sit there and you're like, so that's where all that money went when you just signed your name on the dotted line. And you're like, oh, and they want more money just because they lent me that money for me to get my education so that I could better society. But now y'all want me to pay you back more money just for lending me money so that I can get my education because I wasn't fortunate enough to be raised in a family who could just pay money like that to colleges to have their children go through that experience of that learning experience. So nonetheless, mentorship tells that story of motivation and demotivation. It talks about how many students and many people on the cusp of their learning experiences through academia or through trades begin to set out on a journey to find those opportunities through applications. But that journey takes them through the world wide web of information that literally houses all the informations and databases that we've accumulated over this digital age and compiles them into these repositories for us to search through and navigate. And it becomes just difficult and overwhelming. So mentorship debuted itself as a platform that will be interactive, it will be engaging, it will be exciting, and most importantly, it will be motivating to those students looking to interact and find those opportunities that are local, even in their own communities that they didn't know were right across the street, right around the corner, right at their neighbor's corner grocery store or their local church or even mall. There are opportunities that are there that can be made aware to them where they most spend their time and attention, and that's on their mobile phones, wherever mine is. Oh, I'm on it. So mentorship is designing itself to be that integrated platform, help them find scholarships in a novel way, put it in front of their face, help them say, hey, listen, you've got people here willing to get behind you who have gone through this application, who have won this application, who have lost this application. You can take the advice or you can not take their advice, but know that this opportunity is made available to you. So the only thing stopping you from applying is you pushing that button with your thumb and saying apply now, filling out a couple of key requirements to fulfill that application, and then boom, instantly being connected with mentors or being rewarded with a micro scholarship or being set up for the opportunity to succeed in further endeavors.
Yeah.
Ask more questions. I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
Oh, yeah. No, you're good. You're good. It's just a conversation. And as you're talking, it just reminds me of like what the purpose of like having a phone and what like social media and all these things are for is for ease of accessibility and ease of communication. And so quite often you see, different sectors that haven't tapped into the resources that are available, i.e., like scholarships and other opportunities that are always going to be there, but are often really hard for people to find. They haven't really tapped into that stuff, and so it's really good to see that you were kind of kicking the the conversation forward. Whether they like it or not, it's just you set up a platform, you make it easy for both parties to really interact with each other, and then you just make sure that it stays running. And so it's a really great idea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so so you are not from Portland.
I am not.
So
born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. So what brought you all the way out here?
Intel brought me all the way out here. They said, hey, would you like to come out to the Northwest where you can hike mountains and snowboard? I said, nah, that kind of life is not really for me. Seems a little extreme to go way out there for that. But then they said, well, you'll find gainful employment through us. We have a compensation package that can't be matched, and you'll be able to explore your engineering depths and use the knowledge that you gained. And I said, okay, I'm down for that. Reach the dream, Fortune 500 company, making the type of money, rented a house, thought I could buy a house, white picket fence, and all that to say, Intel brought me out here.
Okay. And did
They
they
helped me to achieve.
was it a pipe dream, or did they actually deliver on what they said they could do?
They delivered, but it turns out that though my degree being in engineering, though my aspirations to be an engineer led me into the field of choice that got me my degrees, or earned me my degrees rather, and got me that opportunity to represent myself into a corporation like Intel, uh, it was a fit, but not the perfect fit.
Okay.
And so I understood my role, I understood the need for my role, and I understood my job. I just did not fully understand why I wanted to see this as that culminating experience, as the end all be all of my engineering career, or the end all be all of my ability to learn in new or fun experiences. And so once I saw myself being kind of siloed and uh, really just given the day to day, not the big picture, given the task, but not the goals, to the point where I could understand and resonate that those goals and my goals had shared interests, it just became not something that I wanted to pursue long term. And so I began to think, well, how can I use what I've learned and what I know and what I'm passionate about and what I can actually do to facilitate the positive engineering impact and change that I wanted to have and wanted to see in this world? And so that's what led me to start Mentorship. And Mentorship, again, being already described as a means to connect people to go after opportunities, in particular, find funding to support those opportunities. It just seemed to resonate very well with what I wanted to do, how I could achieve a change and engineer positive forces through a simple app and through a simple construct that connects people through technology, but it doesn't depend solely on how the technology functions to separate people. It really brings them together more than it tries to push them apart. The technology is just a repository, it just holds the information that was shared between those two people once those real interactions happen. And again, me moving out here to pursue a career that I want to be truly passionate about, I'm as real and authentic as I can be. And so I said, all right, once I get this company to a stage, I'm going to leave Intel and pursue that full time. And that's exactly what I've done. The 3.5, almost 4 years that I've been here, started off, transition, hit lots of bumps in the road. I mean, fucking fell in holes, skint my knees, broke my back, had to have surgeries, this and that, all to find my light at the end of my dark tunnel to say, oh, this is why I had to fall down. This is why I had to crawl. This is why I had to go through that, to understand that there is opportunity on the other side. And there are people who need to be guided towards opportunity as well, but not fall down the hole and not go through the knee scraping, back breaking work and process that I had to go through, but maybe can streamline that a little bit so they can feel that same impact, feel that same pressure, feel that same understanding, but come out on the other side kind of unscathed, and essentially having simulated that life.
Okay.
So again, long roundabout way to say Intel brought me out here.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is what's keeping me here, and it's a passion that's driving me.
And it's that story is not uncommon either, because it's either Intel or it's Nike or it's one of those other places that bring particularly Black people out here, and then they find kind of themselves and their opportunities from that. Mm-hmm. Because I think Portland is one of those places that it allows you to explore the things that you needed to ask yourself permission for. Whether it's, right. Conscious or unconscious, it allows people to kind of tap into that, their real, true purpose, and I don't know if it's the people, I don't know if it's the water, I don't know if it's the air, but it's something about the culture of Portland that does that. Albeit, for Black people, the culture of Portland and Oregon can be, a little conflicting sometimes. But but looking at it from the glass half full, you also have the opportunities to kind of improve yourself and improve really, I mean, you kind of spoke to it. You found your purpose, and you realized that, okay, I have peace of mind leaving a Fortune 500 company like Intel and starting my own thing. You know, coming up with an idea that I came up with myself, and then just going for it. And that, you know, if you were to tell your grandmother that, like, that would be wild. You know.
Yeah, indeed that, man. And I actually think that my grandmothers are driving this passion of mine, because they know as well as I do that I've always had my mind set on the ability and statement that I can do anything. And I know that they are literally supporting me every step of the way, both of them having passed now. One of the latest while I actually first moved out here, which maybe even had a change on how I view what I want to do and how I should follow and lead and live my life. But I know they were all about education. They constantly put little bugs to say, make sure you're studying, make sure you're getting your lesson, as she would say, and just being a good person. And so that's what pushes and supports me. I push and support mentorship, and the people that push and support the concept of what we're trying to build are going to help this business and this company truly succeed and take off.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so one of the things that, like, I'm really curious about, especially when I meet Black people that are engineers. Like, my mom was a civil engineer, and you know, I've seen sort of, I grew up in that. I grew up adjacent to that world, I would say. What how did you get to a point where Intel wanted to fly you all the way across the country? You know, like what got you to that point? Like, you mentioned that you have degrees, not just one degree, but multiple degrees. So like what was your journey to sort of, like, get to that position?
Why Intel decided to fly me out, I'm not 100% sure. But the journey and the story that I tell people is my passion for engineering started at 5 and 6 years old with taking apart vacuum cleaners, just because I recognized that a Phillips head screwdriver was able to take apart anything with a Phillips head screw in it. And once I figured that out, it was easy to take damn near 90% of anything that's ever been built or manufactured apart, as long as I had the right kind of size Phillips head. And from that early passion to figure out how to take things apart and put it back together, and a great mother, great father, great family, all supporting any educational desire, dream, or aspiration that I had, constantly, continuously propelled me. So engineering led me to want to discover and take apart and reassemble the concepts of music. Started playing trumpet when I was 8, got into all the bands, and that band life led me to want to march in the FAMU's Marching 100 band, to which I did and successfully integrated into that life. But marching in the band and being on college campus told me that, hey, you know what I really want to do? I really want to engineer things that help people. And music is cool, but it helps people on a level that I don't know if I can truly masterfully be able to connect with them. But engineering, I can do. So I laid down my horn and I picked back up my little pen and protractor, or proverbial protractor, and started my engineering learnings to the point where I made great connections, had great advisors, teachers that would put me in positions to say, hey, Micah, I recommended you for this, and you just got to show up. And hey, Micah, you know, there's this internship here. We pull together students, and you seem to be the best fit, so we're going to send you on this internship. Micah, you know, I need a teaching assistant for this class, this senior design class. Since you already finished it and you did well in it, we want you to do that and lead that. And then, hey, there's this Florida State University program that we want you to coordinate that brings together students in a research experience for undergraduates, and they get to study and learn under professors, but you have to coordinate and run the program such that they get the most enriching learning experience. All that compiled me a resume between my engineering, between my internships at Ford, at PepsiCo, Gatorade, at the National Nuclear Security Administration, working as a teaching assistant, working as a tutor, working as a program and project coordinator. gave me a resume. And when I went to that information section that came to FAMU and sat inside of our classroom and said, hey, we're Intel. These are our recruiters here today with you. And this is what we do at Intel. This is where we are. This is what we're about. I said, these people are not going to want me. But my PhD research, I saw some of that in what they were presenting. I was like, oh, I know nano. Oh, I know carbon. Oh, I know these elements they're talking about and how they're configuring them on a gaseous and subatomic level. So, yeah, I could submit my resume and feel pretty confident that I could do the job. And so even before the information session was over, I just kind of had to dip out to go to another meeting. And so I just left my resume there. I said, excuse me, can I leave my resume up here? And that night I got a call back saying, hey, we got your resume. We understand you had to leave, but after looking at it, we just couldn't pass up the opportunity to interview you in person. So we'd like you to come in tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be doing some on-campus interviews for those candidates who we thought were outstanding, essentially. And we're going to end up flying back out tonight. So can you make it? I was like, sure. For a chance to work somewhere that could pay me after graduating, it's a no-brainer. I went there for the interview, and the guy that was interviewing me basically said, this is really a formality. We're recruiters, but when you get into your engineering discipline and degrees and have a degree like I have, they're going to want to see me on site. So after I passed their formal first round interview, they said, we got to fly you out here. So I had that 4-day experience to learn and live in Portland for a little bit, and had my full day of interviews with all the managers at Intel, which I think I bombed. It was horrible. I felt like the questions that they asked, I didn't give the right answers to. I felt like I was an imposter thinking, I thought I could actually think on their level and work with them. And I was like, well, this is a great free trip, free rental car, free food per diem. And, I got to experience another city and state and its culture and the beauty that's here. And then a couple weeks later, I got the call. And that call was basically saying, hey, congratulations, and here's your offer. We'd be so excited to have you. And from there, it was just literally history. I finished my PhD knowing that I had a motivator behind me of a job waiting for me just as soon as I finished. I had to extend my job start date out because I didn't finish my PhD as I thought I would, but I eventually got it done. And then I started working here at Intel. And after I started working at Intel, like I said, everything just kind of took form to me. I got to say, hey, I experienced that. I lived that. I learned about that. But I know now that that's not really the type of engineering that I want to do. That's not really the type of engineer that I want to be. And what I want to be is an engineer for the people.
Okay.
And I want to engineer something that's going to change or affect in a positive way people, their lives, their concepts of their own lives, how they live their lives, how they think they want to live their lives. That's where true engineering change happens, and being able to teach those methods of how to sustain once you figure that out. And I think that's what mentorship is. It allows you to help do that.
Oh, yeah. And so when you talk about engineering, could you explain a little bit of what do you mean by engineering? Because engineering could be a multitude of things: software engineer, data analysis, coding, building stuff. So how does engineering for you? How does engineering really sort of bring communities together? Build community. How are you able to enact stuff with people?
Well, like I said, engineering to me started by taking apart vacuum cleaners. Tracing back the origin of a vacuum cleaner, it was just trying to solve the problems that existed in our lives on a daily basis that we spent a lot of time dealing with, and producing a solution that more effectively dealt with that problem without a lot of extra energy, time, or effort put into it creates an avenue for people to have more time with each other. So by engineering products, and that's kind of the engineering that I'm talking about specifically here, particular products and services that allow people to lessen their time dependency on other things and open up the possibilities for more opportunities, that's any type of engineering to me. On a general, what is engineering? It's literally taking a scientific approach to something that's already been scientifically done, proven, created, manufactured, fabricated, designed, or thought about, and saying, I can take all those little pieces of all of those tiny little systems and bring them together into one functional platform that will serve a purpose of, i.e., a vacuum cleaner, by saying, if you combine a small suction with a canister or a bag or something to hold whatever it sucks up, and a handle to hold on to the bag that's doing the sucking, and something to actually do the sucking, suddenly we've got pieces of a puzzle that make a engineering marvel, if you will. And so growing up, that's what I thought about. How do you take a concept, deconstruct it down to its base needs, pair it up with the elements and rationale that it needs to have in order to reconstruct a device, a product, or even a service or a process that allows the betterment of essentially a human being's life. And engineers come out of bettering the human existence. And later engineering can transform into, well, if we got all these people trying to get better experiences, there's a byproduct that's harming where we all live. And so now we have to re-engineer a way to sustain the environment that we live in so that we can continue living, because we are humanity. And without humanity, there technically is no need for engineering to create comfort that would then create more time for interactions and engagements. So to bridge that gap, engineering just says, hey, let's pull together these pieces. Let's put it together in something that works, and let's present it to people to say, this will allow you to be better people with more people.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's it. Okay. And I think that's what engineering is, whether it's a computer that says, hey, what we're doing right now, because of what's happening out in the environment, you and I can still connect and correlate and collaborate and talk about the future, talk about the past, talk about the present, or talk about the combination of all of them, because there's a technology piece of device that's enabling us to not have to sit and write letters back and forth and depend on another system to do instant communication. So again, breaking down, reconstructing to build up time savers.
Okay. And so how has since we're talking about the whole effects of like COVID-19 and everything, how has that sort of impacted what you're doing now? Because obviously like the Pi Day thing had to be, I got tickets for, Pi Day, and I was super excited to go. And then they're like, well, it's going to be, virtual. And then like things started to get worse from there and everything. So like how has, really sort of the quarantining and everything with COVID-19 impacted what you're trying to do with mentorship?
It actually has impacted it a lot, as it has impacted anybody's everything a lot. And the foremost way is that this 2020 year, as pivotal as it was and is in numerology, even of our understanding of numerology, it was going to be impactful for symbolic reasons that mentorship has learned it through some trials, through some tribulations over the past 2.5 years. And this year was the launch of mentorship, essentially beta 2.0. And I'm even sitting here mocking up the rebranding of my logo and brand image and message to better sync with that concept that we're delivering. And that was all going to be delivered at the demo day. That was going to be live with 700 to 1,000 people at the Revolution Hall venue, aired and publicized online as well. And that was going to be followed up in 2 weeks with the Pitch Fest Northwest that we had just been accepted to. And now that is also postponed until after this pandemic kind of settles down. And finally, at the beginning of April 11th, we were supposed to feature ourselves again at the Black Student Success Summit here in Portland, Oregon, and allow students to match with real mentors and find real scholarships in our novel conceptual approach that is mentorship. And all three of those events have now been canceled, postponed, or transformed into another platform for distribution, like the demo day, as it went virtual. And though you got your ticket, I hope you were still able to tune in and check out some of those YouTube videos, especially mentorship, and gave us a thumbs up for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was really good to see that despite all the uncertainty, like small businesses and entrepreneurs like yourself are still trying to push the envelope forward, you know, like
Exactly.
with all that uncertainty, you know, there still has to be that sort of like stable beacon of hope that people could look forward to, you know, even if they're not privy to like what the technology is or whatever, but just the fact that like people are still pushing, that speaks
Mhm.
volumes because you know that's what really keeps the wheels turning in, you know, our economy and well, really a lot of people's self-esteem.
And mine is too. My self esteem was definitely kicked in the nuts, you could say, when all that came down the pipeline. But one of the benefits of this is I've originally kind of designed this company to be a virtual company, such that it does not have to sit in one city. It does not have to stay in a singular headquartered space as of right now. We are mobile. We're trying to get into every city and state in the country. So we're going to have to be flexible enough to move around. And what this challenge has brought us is the opportunity to effectively efficientize our systems. And I use this word efficientize loosely because one, it's not a real word. Uh, and two, it's just a compilation of being efficient, being effective, and understanding that there's always going to be something that's going to come up. And it's going to come up on the fly, and you have to be more dynamic than static. So you not only have to be efficient in your decision making process of an overall goal, but even on your real time up and downs, you have to make efficient and effective decisions. Uh, and so right now we are transitioning into this plague mode where we're saying, all right, everybody, hunker down, bunker down, stay indoors. Let's wait this out. Let's not get into a frenzy, but let's keep pushing our goals forward, because once this does subside, we're going to need to be ready to launch whatever we were going to do before, but even better,
Yeah.
because now we've had more time and no excuses to make this really become a true success when we get ready to come out for this 2020 year again. And with the launch of the demo day and the pitch deck video that we put together, I think that's a really great start. And I put in a lot of work, and our team put in a lot of work to make that positive, powerful, and truly captivating, to get the attention of the people that we're most trying to help and most trying to ask for help, to join our platform. Because it's not we are building something that will serve everybody else, is that we're building that intermediary that will allow one person to help service another, and another person to pay it forward by serving and helping another.
Yeah.
So, COVID virus notwithstanding, the company is still looking strong. Being a startup, we didn't have a lot of things set in stone, so we can be flexible. And moving forward, it's just going to be even more powerful, because now we've got a little more time, a little more focus, not a lot of moving around to lose time in transition. And we can just really jump off. And I can feel my team getting stronger day by day, even amongst this epidemic.
Yeah, it's a you know that's one thing that is a silver lining is that anything that you are working on, you have a little bit more time to get it, to fine tune it, to make it better. Because
Right.
I mean, people can't do anything right now. You know, you can't release anything right now. It's like, you know, I think a lot of like the movies that people were looking forward to seeing over the next couple of weeks or a couple of months, those are getting pushed to like the fall now. And so it's really throwing off all these timelines. But that
Mm-hmm.
just means that we have enough time. We have, you know, time to focus on the things that we've been meaning to focus on, you know, focus on ourselves, kind of slow down a little bit, disconnect sometimes. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just really interesting to kind of be in this space at this time. You know, and I could only imagine for you, you know, like everything is always gung ho, gung ho, gung ho, and then you
Right.
have to put a pause on some things just because you have no choice. And so it's like, dang, you know, like for me, I started thinking like, dang, I could have actually like slept in one of the days that I like really wanted to sleep in, and I was just like, no, I gotta work, you know. And so now it's like, okay, you know.
I'm telling you, I enjoy the fact that we don't have to technically go anywhere, but the fact that I have to stay at home to work, it makes me a little too comfortable. I like to work sometimes when I want to work at home, on the weekends when I want to do something fast, but that kind of day to day, day in, day out, uh, it makes me a little bit too complacent. Like, just chill out, take me a quick nap on the couch and wake back up and grind.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to do that, again, super glad that you were able to call me, set this up so that I can stay engaged and constantly thinking. And as long as my schedule stays full, then I know that I'm constantly progressing towards our goals day by day.
Oh yeah, because it's kind of crazy because things have obviously things have gotten canceled. Contracts have gone by the wayside and all these different things. But for me, some things have kind of really picked up because I work remotely. I do a lot of live streaming, so opportunities for live streaming and doing other stuff, it has definitely opened up my doors to starting to take that more seriously. It usually is a hobby, and now it's kind of a way of life.
Right. And I'm going to piggyback off that by saying I'm going to copy off of you and maybe build me up a podcast during this time so I can get people's real life testimonies of how their educational journey through college was maybe more costly than they assumed, and how an app like Mentorschip would have definitely helped them become more aware and apply in real time to scholarships and be able to record those videos and post them online. And again, just use this time wisely and productively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is going to be one of those sort of history book moments. It's like, what were you doing during COVID? What were you doing during Corona? Mm-hmm. And so I think when the time is gone, people will look back when they get over it, and they'll talk about how well they utilize that time. Because for us, we're the team no sleep generation. And so when you have the opportunity to sleep, did you take it? Did you take the opportunity to kind of hit that reset button? Did you take that opportunity to explore something that you never gave yourself the opportunity to? And so it's I think these are those times that really test your convictions and your character.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I'm always curious about, especially for Black people in the tech sector, is what is sort of what is it like to navigate that space when being in the tech sector compared to music and being an artist and being an athlete aren't really as popular, so quite often you'll find yourself in where you're the darkest person in the room and all these different things. How is it sort of navigating that and still sort of pushing the envelope forward without getting burned out?
Music, art, and sports. If I would say if music, arts, and sports needed a vacation, they probably pick up their phone to escape into tech.
Yeah.
So conversely, yin and yang, as I am constantly engaged in tech and using that side and hemispheres and processes of my brain, I use music, art, and sports to escape.
Yeah.
To keep my mental health alive, to keep my physical health alive, to keep my emotional state in balance through the music. And then to present myself as a well-balanced individual, such that when I integrate myself into any space, I can say with confidence, I'm here with confidence.
Yeah.
I'm not here spazzing out because I'm a super techie person in a room full of artists and entrepreneurs and sports people. But I touch on each subject matter. I like to learn about some of everything. I like to experience some of everything, and I like to play sports more than I like to watch them. So I understand the fundamentals of the game without having to watch them. I learned and studied music for 2 decades, so I know the fundamentals, even though I don't pick up my horn often and play. And on the art side, I would have to, again, tie that back into the music, because when it comes to drawing and painting and staying in the lines, I just don't do that unless I have the assistive capability of technology like a Photoshop, PowerPoint, or something that draws those straight lines, and I can compile some images together But when it comes to freehand, out of mind, like what you do, couldn't even fathom how someone takes images out of their mind and translates that through two little fingers and a piece of lead entrapped in wood, and creates and invokes emotion from a simple expression on her face, and then adds another line to make you even sadder. And I'm like, what? You just added a line and making that. So nonetheless, there's a balance there. And the tech space, being black in tech, it is a limited tech space. There are a lot of black people that are in tech that are trying to promote tech as a positive avenue for career, positive avenue for advancement of understanding, positive avenue for self-gain and self-literacy, to not keep up with the Joneses, but stay in tune with what the next status quo is, so that you can know how best to react, i.e., do you have the latest coronavirus detection software on your Ring doorbell to make sure that the virus isn't knocking at your door when the next person rings the doorbell? I don't know. But people are out there thinking up ways to not only decontaminate the population, but also put in preventative measures that go beyond just sterilizing and keeping things really clean. But now how do we prevent these from popping back up again and literally walking through our front doors, affecting us, taking hold of us, and wreaking havoc to create such tragedies? And so as this virus is indiscriminately spreading through races, through people, through genders, it's one of those times that we can just group together and say, it doesn't matter whether you're an artist, whether you do sports, whether you do music, whether you do tech, whether you do business, whatever you do, everybody, let's come together, because like these kids have been saying, Greta Thunberg, I'm sorry, I can't think of how to say her name correctly.
Yeah, Greta
so I hope
Thunberg.
if she ever hears this, she doesn't take any offense. But she's out there doing some great things, and at such a young age with such a powerful voice, I can only wish I had her confidence to speak out against things that I'm doing myself. Like, why am I not doing everything that I can all the time? I can't even answer that here on this podcast because I know that I need to do better. And if I recognize that in myself, like Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. If you want to make a change, you got to start with that person that you see every day. And again, taking this back to mentorship, that's kind of just what I'm doing, introducing a black business that's tech inspired, where there isn't much black business in tech. It's a nonprofit, but we are out to make lots of money. And it's not that we're trying to make the money for ourselves, but the more money we bring in revenue, the more money we can turn into scholarships, the more opportunities that we're creating. And so I have to be balanced. I have to be black, and I have to be better in 2020, avoiding the coronavirus and building myself back up from all those pitfalls I took through learning that the educational system, through learning now the world system that is even bigger than that academic setting that I thought was quote unquote real life, but is not. And bring that into a reality that says, all right, wake up. What are you going to pick? Red pill, blue pill? Are you going to accept the matrix as it exists today? Or are you going to try to become the one that will change and make that change and be that change? And so that's what I do every day. I have my degree behind me so I can wake up and say, I'm Dr. Micah McCrary-Dennis. Let's get out here and do something. Like Kool Moe Dee said, I go to work like a doctor. When I rock this mic, he got to like how I operate. I make miracles happen just from rapping. Anyway, so you just got to embody what it means, what you've endured, what I've experienced, wrap that into a package that presents myself as ready to take on this world and engineer change. And I'm doing it right now through mentorship.
Oh yeah. I could just feel the passion just coming through, because that's how I feel about animation, and like me going through trying to get into medical school and seeing how like impactful, or the need for like health education and how the arts kind of play into that. It's the stuff that like we kind of, like Schoolhouse Rock, Magic School Bus, like all those things were so influential. And
Captain Planet, man.
Right? Captain Planet is like,
you don't know how many people don't know about Captain Planet, and it's crazy.
It's it's just, but those things that like we start to appreciate more and more as we grow up, and we see how like in this age of tech and accessibility, like how easy it is for us to like take the ideas and the inspirations that we have, and we could literally push the envelope forward, from the comfort of our own homes, especially now, because we're
Right.
all connected. And so to kind of like wrap it up and finish up, like what what's coming on the horizon for you guys? Like I know you mentioned like the Pi Day thing and everything else. What other things are you excited for?
I'm excited most about our beta app release this year. Last year, we took the concept, packaged it into MVP that would be our alpha that we could present to students, and it worked. It was effective. It was more student centered and focused, and just trying to ask the question: do you know about scholarships? How do you currently look for scholarships? And would this be a better alternative to find those opportunities? And they all answered resoundingly 100%. Oh, yeah, this is fun. This is engaging. Students, I've never been asked questions like this so quickly and been able to respond so fast and seamlessly, and then know that at the end of this, most likely, I know my chances and probabilities of getting an award. And it was really high. And they get the awards. They got the awards. So this year in 2020, it's all about evaluating that app experience, turning it over from just being student focused into being mentor and sponsor focused, so that we can develop our web where sponsors will be able to drop scholarships without having to kind of go through the game, and mentors will be able to play the game or go through the web and be able to put scholarships there, whether they like to interact through that gaming and AR environment, and connective interaction environment, or whether they just want to help and support and put their resources towards a good cause. And so 2020 is all about turning this concept that we have from its alpha into its beta, releasing that to people, having it networked, having it get into the Play Store, having it get into people's hands so that they can actually start using it. And if they start using it, maybe they'll start seeing the value in it. When they build and see the value in it, then they'll understand the vision of debt-free education for all, and how our mission is solid to empower those communities to go after those financially literate and financially opportunistic gains that exist right in their communities, such that they can achieve their next level of educational or academic success, or learning through vocation or apprenticeships or trades. We are trying to build this system to truly engineer change through people's interactions. And this year is that year that we are going to make that happen and become actualized more so than we did in the past.
Oh man, that's music to my ears because I was fortunate enough to have a scholarship and go through athletics and everything, but you obviously know the hassles of having an athletic scholarship and trying to actually pursue academics. It's kind of the antithesis, and so I had to take out loans. I had to make those tough decisions after I already had my degree to even like get to the point where I could like pursue medicine. And so that just being able to provide that as a resource is really powerful, because most people think, I mean, especially black people, most black people think, okay, if I want to get a scholarship, I gotta be good at sports, like I
Right.
gotta throw a ball, I gotta be able to tackle somebody. And so really being an ambassador to open people's eyes to new opportunities that we just weren't aware of, but other people kind of take for granted is yeah, that's I'm excited, and I've seen it, evolve along the process over the past year and a half and stuff, and it's I'm really excited to it. I will say it from what you were doing, it's definitely got me into the augmented reality space. I would say that is definitely one of the big inspirations for me going into augmented reality because of how engaging it is and how you're able to
Mm-hmm.
literally like uh, impact people and make them participate. I'm just super excited. Yeah, super excited.
Yeah, I love what you sent me. That first capability of turning your art into AR, freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it and I was like, did I inspire this brother to go AR?
Oh yeah.
Hell, I'm making impact already just by creating something, maybe inspiring people to think about their own gifts and their own products and their own opportunities that they're creating for other people in a different way, to say, hey, maybe I can create more opportunity just by including this other facet or this other puzzle piece. And that's what I was saying, engineering. You are now an engineer. You have been able to see how another whole entity can work well within your system and benefit people.
Oh yeah, I will preface that I used to be a Windows mobile developer coming out of high school,
Okay.
and so when they like trashed the whole project, then I was like, I can't do this anymore because it's too volatile. I need to just go into something that I'm gonna just start playing with Photoshop. And so it's weird to kind of be in the space again now because it seems like this is the new wave. This is it, and so
Right.
I'm like fortunate, I'm fortunate to have the experience of being creative, but I'm glad that I see the foresight. I see where things are kind of going, especially with the
Mhm.
arts and tech and the stuff that I do. And so yeah, it's trying to get more Black people into AR and VR. That's the name of the game for 2020. Like
Exactly, my
it's
friend.
like don't sit here and try to be the next Michael Jordan or LeBron James, because one, you might catch COVID. So sit there. You better learn Unity and C Sharp and all those things, because that you got the opportunity now. Pick
Exactly.
up Blender. That mess is free.
Do something.
Yes.
That's the goal. Do something, be somebody, and go somewhere. What is that Sister Act? If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you gotta just wake up and pay attention. And I truly embody that. And in my high school, going through my name of my high school was Benjamin E. Mays High School, named after Benjamin Elijah Mays, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, very prominent activist and teacher and professor in Atlanta, Georgia. And in the walls of the hallway, it was stamped on every wall multiple times, different locations. Nothing to be artistic, but literally just a stamp. And it said GODOBE, go do be. Pronounced Gaddafi, go do be. Go somewhere, do something, and be somebody. And I have taken that with me everywhere I go. I feel like from just going to that high school and reading his book Born to Rebel and embodying what it means to have the understanding of his lineage of professors that extend, I think, all the way back to W.E.B. Du Bois and those early philosophers and our ancestors who said we are more than just a race of people that you see with a dark pigment and color of our skin. We can change the world. Just give us a chance. Put us in a position and stop trying to strip us of our heritage. Stop trying to strip us of what makes us who we are, and just give us a chance to shine. And it may turn out that instead of thinking that everything that's white and bright and light shines, it may just turns out that the darkest berry, the blackest marble, and the most opaque of stones can truly shine and reveal its brilliance if you just give it a chance. So again, coming from ancestral roots into the present, I'm embodying that. I can see it in you too. I can see it in the movements that we are starting as a people and the positive services, products, and opportunities that we are creating for each other. And I'm just looking forward to continue to collaborate with you, with the world, with people that are trying to be better people to help people understand themselves or the world in better ways.
Oh yeah, man. That's the name of the game. Just got to keep pushing the culture forward. And so last question. And I just started. You're the second person that I'm asking this question. Which I wish I would have came up with this idea a little bit sooner. But being that it's the Black Rose PDX podcast, trying to highlight the things that Black people in Portland are doing. What is the blackest thing that you have done in Portland?
I would only have to say, man, I pigged out on some keys loaded kitchen. Sat down with with one of my crewmates, and we shared one of those plates, and it was the closest thing to soul food I've had here, and so that's probably the blackest thing that I've done. Uh, since I've been here.
Okay. Yeah, so it's, hey, once a man, there's going to be, so if things start to slow down and people start to come out around summertime is going to be crazy.
Lit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
Man, kids gonna be mad though, because they gonna be back in school or still stuck in
Right.
school for all the
Yeah.
time that they missed.
Yeah, but
But
it's gonna
they're gonna
be
need opportunities to go after.
like nobody's gonna go to work. Like it's gonna be day parties every other day. You know.
Why are you playing and why you just mentioned that? The National Society of Black Engineers Portland Professional Chapter and Mentorship are currently collaborating and in talks to have a day party. And we were trying to have a day party before this corona pandemic started sweeping and trending the nation. So now we're going to, again, go back into our little cubby holes, open up our Zoom and our Hangout communications, and figure out, say, listen, as soon as we know this thing is really finna die out and people are getting ready to be back out in the communities, let's have this day party ready to come out and feature itself as a way for people to connect, for professionals to be professionals and connect with mentors, and for us to uplift our communities.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so with that, just call it a wrap. I appreciate the time. Stay safe.
For sure, bro. I appreciate you having me.
Keep pushing the envelope forward, because we need to continue making the tech sector a little darker, because that's where the opportunities are at right now. That's where it's
black
at.
Of the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Oh yeah, amen to that. And so enjoy the rest of the day. Try not to try not to fight over some toilet paper. Wash your hands, and I'll catch you later.
Sound like a plan, brother. Appreciate it again. Love being on the show. Can't wait to come again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. So enjoy it. Again, I want to give another shout out to the Soul District Business Association and Flossom Media for helping me put this on. I'm your host, Stephen Christian. I mixed and mastered this podcast. I also did all the interviews. And if you see any of the stuff on YouTube, I put all that stuff together as well. With all the social distancing things right now, I'm producing this right out of my home studio. So if you have a chance, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Medium at PDX Black Rose, which is PDX BLACKROSE. And if you're on Patreon, hit us up on there. We would love your support. If you don't do anything else, definitely rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. And on top of that, be sure to share this with your friends. The purpose of this podcast is to highlight the movers and shakers in Portland that are doing things in the Black community. And by supporting this podcast, you're supporting the community as a whole. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the flip side. The intro song is brought to you by Andy Stokes, and the outro song is brought to you by Spring Gang from Epidemic Sound.